What a wonderful day, students! Welcome to our class for today. All of our leaders who are professional pass through our educational system. But why do we have still problems in government? Did they not learn what is right from wrong? According to Buddha, beware of what you think, it might be what you will say. Beware of what you say, it might be what you do. Beware of what you do, it might become a habit. Be care of your habit, it might become your character. So today, this lesson will teach us how to become morally good. Our topic is entitled Virtue Ethics. Let's know our objectives. First, discuss the meaning and basic principles of virtue ethics. Second, distinguish virtuous acts from non virtuous acts. And lastly, apply Aristotle's ethics in understanding the Filipino character. Kindly read the introduction. Thank you. It talks about how important good moral character is to every individual. Virtue ethics is a philosophical approach that focuses on developing good moral character through habitual actions and virtuous behavior. When we say virtuous behavior, it can be interpreted as having three requisite elements. First, right action. Second, done for the right reason. And third, carried out with the right feeling. It doesn't also show self centeredness, but rather considers the welfare of others. So, we have mentioned earlier about virtue ethics. So, in your own idea, what is virtue ethics? Yes, thank you for your idea. Kindly read the definition. Thank you. Based on what you have read, it outlines the essence of virtue ethics, a philosophical framework centered on cultivating virtuous character traits to guide ethical behavior. It also highlights the significance of understanding what constitutes the good through the development of moral excellence. The reference to Plato and Aristotle underscores the historical roots of virtue ethics, with both ancient thinkers contributing to its foundational concepts. Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics is mentioned as a pivotal work in this regard, emphasizing the role of habituation, moderation, and practical wisdom in fostering virtuous behavior and achieving human flourishing, or the concept of eudaimonia. Overall, the text provides an introduction to virtue ethics, its origins, and its key principles. Earlier, we mentioned Aristotle. Do you know who he is? Yes, Aristotle, hailing from Macedonia, received his philosophical education under Plato's tutelage in Athens, where he distinguished himself as one of Plato's most brilliant students, renowned or famous as the tutor of Alexander the Great. Aristotle's teachings influenced not only his famed pupil, but also generations of scholars through his profound contributions to philosophy, science, and ethics. For Plato, the real is outside the realm of any human sensory experience, but can somehow be grasped by one's intellect. For Aristotle, the real is found within our everyday encounter with objects in the world. One sees the ethical theory of Aristotle as engaging the good in our day to day living. So, Plato believed that true reality exists beyond what we perceive with our senses, accessible only through our intellectual insight. While on the other hand, Aristotle saw reality as rooted in our daily experiences, shaping his ethical philosophy to address the practical aspect of living a virtuous life in the world we inhabit.
Now, let's move on to the topic of happiness and ultimate purpose. Aristotle begins his discussion of ethics by showing that every act that a person does is directed toward a particular purpose, aim, or what the Greeks called telos. There is a purpose why one does something, And for Aristotle, a person's action manifests a good that she aspires for. Every pursuit of a person hopes to achieve a good. One eats for the purpose of the good that it gives sustenance to the body. A person pursues a chosen career aiming for good, that is, to provide a better future for her family. A person will not do anything which is not beneficial to her. Even a drug user thinks that substance abuse will cause her good. This does not necessarily mean that using drugs is good, but a drug addict would want to believe that such act is good. Therefore, for Aristotle, the good is considered to be the telos or purpose which all acts seek to achieve. One must understand that an individual does actions and pursuits in life, and correspondingly each of these activities has different aims. Aristotle is aware that one does an act not only to achieve a particular purpose, but also believes such purpose can be utilized for a higher goal or activity, which then can be used to achieve an even higher purpose, and so on. In other words, the different goods that one pursues form a hierarchy of teloi. Aristotle says, a certain difference is found among ends. Some are activities, others are products apart from the activities that produce them. When there are ends apart from the actions, it is the nature of the products to be better than activities. Now, as there are many actions, arts, and sciences, their ends also are many. The end of the medical art is health, that of shipbuilding is vessel, that of strategy is victory, that of economics wealth, but there are arts fall under a single capacity as bring making and the other arts concerned with. The equipment of horses fall under the art of riding, and every military action under strategy. In the same way, other arts fall under yet others in all of these. The ends of the master arts are to be preferred to all the subordinate ends, for it is for the sake of the former that the latter is pursued. When one diligently writes down notes while listening to a lecture given by the teacher, she does this for the purpose of being able to remember the lessons of the course. This purpose of remembering is an act to achieve a higher aim, which is to pass the examinations given by the teacher, which then becomes a product that can help the person attain the goal of having a passing mark in the course. It is important for Aristotle that one becomes clear of the hierarchy of goals that different acts produce in order for a person to distinguish which actions are higher than the other. With the conditions that there is a hierarchy of telos, Aristotle then asks about the highest purpose, which is the ultimate good of a human being. Aristotle discusses the general criteria in order for one to recognize the highest good of a man. First, the highest good of a person must be final. As a final end, it is no longer utilized for the sake of arriving of a much higher end. In our example above, the purpose of remembering the lessons in the course, that is why one writes down notes, is not the final end because it is clear that such purpose is aimed at achieving a much higher goal. Second, the ultimate telos of a person must be self-sufficient. Satisfaction in life is arrived at once this highest good is attained. Nothing else is sought after and desired once this self-sufficient goal is achieved, since this is already considered as the best possible good in life. Again, in the example given, the goal of remembering the lessons in the course is not yet the best possible good, because a person can still seek for other more satisfying goals in her life. So, what is the highest good for Aristotle? What good is both final and self-sufficient? It is interesting to note that for Aristotle, the question can only be adequately answered by older individuals because they have gone through enormous and challenging life experiences which help them gain a wealth of knowledge on what the ultimate purpose of a person is. According to Aristotle, older individuals would agree that the highest purpose of the ultimate good of a man is happiness, or for the Greeks, eudaimonia. One can therefore say that happiness seems to fit the first criterion of being the final end of a human being. For it is clear that conditions for having wealth, power, and pleasures are not chosen for themselves, but for the sake of being a means to achieve happiness. If one accumulates power, for example, she would want to have not just richness, but this of power, and other desirable things as well, such as honor and pleasures. But all of these ends are ultimately for the sake of the final end, which is happiness. In itself, happiness seems to be the final and the highest good of a person, since no other superior end is still being desired for. Happiness for Aristotle is the only self sufficient aim that one can aspire for. No amount of wealth or power can be more fulfilling than achieving the condition of happiness. One can imagine a life of being wealthy, powerful, and experience pleasurable feelings, and yet such life is still not satisfying without happiness. Once happiness is achieved, things such as wealth, power, and pleasurable feelings just give value added benefits in life. The true measure of well being for Aristotle is not by means of richness or fame, but by the condition of having attained a happy life. Even though older individuals agree that happiness is the highest end and good that humans aspire for, there are various opinions on what specifically is the nature of the ultimate telos of a person. One is the happiness is attached with having wealth and power. Others associate happiness with feelings that are pleasurable. Some take nobler things like honor and other ideals as constitutive of happiness. The local saying, madaling maging tao, mahirap magpakatao, can be understood in the light of Aristotle's thoughts on the function of a good person. Any human being can perform the activity of reason. Thus, being human is achievable. However, a good human being strives hard in doing an activity in an excellent way. Therefore, the task of being human becomes more difficult because doing such activity takes more effort on the part of the person.
Greetings, everyone. Now let's move to virtue as excellence. Achieving the highest purpose of a human person concerns the ability to function according to reason and to perform an activity well or excellently. This excellent way of doing things is called virtue or arete by the Greeks. According to Aristotle, virtue is something that one strives for in time. Being virtuous cannot be accomplished by a single act. Being an excellent individual works in doing well in her day to day existence. What exactly makes a human being excellent? Well, Aristotle says that excellence is an activity of the human soul, and therefore, one needs to understand the very structure of a person's soul, which must be directed by her rational activity in an excellent way. So, for Aristotle, the human soul is divided into two parts: the irrational